I just created this. All right, welcome to Double Fries No Slaw. A little bit of a different background here today. Um, hey, look, there's no getting around this. This sucks. And this, Richie, I don't know. I did a rant last night at like 1 a.m. and then I posted it this morning, so I'll let you just roll. Double Fries No Slaw brought to you by Guthrie's, 1818 West Tennessee, 2550 North Monroe, and then the address on Appalachia that I haven't learned yet. So go check them out. Appreciate them for their support. This sucks. I don't know if this is worse or if the pod after the Jacksonville State game was worse. It always, like, what's in the moment feels like it's worse than what happened 3 years ago. But this is hard and this sucks. And I ranted for 15 minutes on this, and we'll rant more. But I know you're kind of on a time crunch, so Richie will be with us for like the first 15 minutes today, and then I'll kind of talk a little bit about the game. But we'll talk about JT. We'll talk about the playoff and some other stuff. But Richie, you were there at the game. I know you guys had a great time aside from everything else. Maybe we'll do another short video this week just talking about your experience meeting Jameis and a bunch of other guys. But let's start with JT. It sucks, but take it any direction you want. I don't even want to ask you a question. I just want you to talk and say what's on your heart.
Yeah, I don't even know what direction to go with this. We had a blast at the game. It was just a phenomenal weekend. The weather was perfect. We're excited for Senior Day, what should have been a celebration of the seniors of the season, of the 2013 team, of Jameis, everything. When he went down, I immediately turned to my wife. I'm like, that was not good. And, her and her mom were with me and they didn't even realize, I think, what happened. And then when I saw the trainers like sprinting out with the air cast, I knew immediately, like, this is not good. And then, I sent you some pictures that, somehow found their way to my phone from the hospital of JT's leg. And I was like, my goodness, man, that's like his career is clearly over. And, for me, TJ, I don't know if I just think Jordan is just such a likable guy. It's such a good teammate and the epitome of what you want from Florida State. Coming here with Willie and almost giving up football and saying, hey, maybe I'll play wide receiver. And then, Norvell and shout out Kenny Dillingham for having him stick it out, say, no, man, you're a quarterback. And then Tony Tokar's helping with the development of him. And for his career to end like that, it's just heartbreaking. It's natural for your first thought to go, oh, man, what does that mean for a playoff, prospects? I didn't even go there. I just felt so bad for him, knowing, Devin, his brother, and having the pleasure to meet his parents in New Orleans last year and having the pleasure to have met Jordan and talk to him. Man, this sucks, right? Because, again, I'm not even talking about the season right now. I'm just talking about someone who had been to the depths of hell at Florida State and brought us back to the very top, almost to the mountaintop. And the fact that he's not going to have the opportunity to help us get back to the true mountaintop and even compete for a national title. It's just a shame. And, the sports can be cruel in so many ways. And I think that's what unfortunately happened to Jordan Travis, because, man, this is a team. You saw the whole team. I was in the stadium. The whole team ran out into the field, kind of like we saw at the Cheez-It Bowl last year with Justin. Even the whole North Alabama team ran out to greet Jordan Travis, and it was just somber. And even once the game got going again, it just never felt right. It never did. Even as we're blowing them out, awesome. But in the back of my mind the whole time, I couldn't really cheer. Like, I was doing the fight song, I was doing the war chant, doing my best to have a good time. But just knowing what happened and knowing that was a career ender, it's just not fair to Jordan for his career to end that way. It's just heartbreaking because, man, he had 2 more games left and then a potential playoff berth. And for him to get robbed of that is just, it breaks my heart for him, because what he's meant to this program, he's won 17 games in a row as a starter. We would have been underdogs, probably whoever we played in the playoff, but I would never count us out with Jordan Travis at quarterback. And it just, I'm sick to my stomach still thinking about it. Even it took me 5.5 hours to get home today. And that's all I was going through my head is like, man, this sucks for Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so hard because, like you said, it's a kid that, like, I mean, you feel bad when anybody gets hurt, without a doubt. But when it is there's so many other factors that I think make it so hard. And I mean, you mentioned one of them, just how likable he is, and how likable his family is, and um, you know, most people like the starting quarterback on their favorite football team. Like that's not, it's not like a real if they're any good, right? Otherwise, they're always calling for the backup. But like most people like their starting, but like to watch. And I talked about this a little bit last night, but like or this morning if people watched it, but like to watch where he came from and where he is now, and to know that journey and to know that process and to know that growth, that makes it tougher. To think about the fact that he came back for another year for this, not for this reason, but for the reason of being 11-0 and having a chance to win 2 more games and go to the playoff. To know that it was senior night. I mean, if this happens in week 7, I mean, we're all devastated in week 7 too. Don't get me wrong, but to know that this was senior night, this was supposed to be the celebration of him. This was supposed to be the celebration of Jameis. This was supposed to be just a beat down, fun, go out of Doak this year in style. Last game in Doak with that much capacity, like all those things, right? Like just party it up, sell out, 5th in a row. And yeah, you could tell from TV, you could tell from the way the guys played, like a couple of series after that, things didn't just immediately like pick up. It took them a minute to get going. I mean, they were shell shocked. And yeah, I mean, you knew he was okay in the sense of like, you know, he's going to be fine, but man, just to know that like that's it. You're not going to see that anymore is really tough. And obviously there's a ton of emotion just everywhere, from fans and coaches. And I mean, you even see the media talking about it. And I mean, I saw Tebow tweeting about it and just everything. And so, I mean, it sucks. And you're right. It's not fair. It's a cruel, cruel game. Brendan put out a really good article that I read at like 1 a.m. that was just like how cruel the game is. And, you know, why we love it so much. And so I'd encourage you guys to go check that out if you're just looking for a place or way to vent or get some emotion out or whatever. I mean, but it's frustrating. I think that most of college football and most of the fans of college football, even if they didn't like Florida State, I saw several rivals, I mean, there's always a few idiots in any group, but I saw several rivals that were very much like, dog, that sucks. Like everyone, you didn't really have to like him. You didn't have to like Florida State. You don't have to be an FSU fan. You don't have to do the war chant, but like everybody respected Jordan Travis. And so that makes it tough. It wasn't some, you see some jerk or some idiot, get hurt and you're like, whatever, but like, man, a kid like that to get hurt on senior night in a fluke play, in a play against a team that, you're supposed to just blow out and it's supposed to be easy, which they did, it is tough. So, all right, I know you don't have a lot of time. Where you want to go? You want to talk a little bit about what you think about the playoff? You can talk about Jordan for 5 more minutes and go, like, whatever you want to do is here, fine. And then I'll gotta take it when you're gone. But where do you want to go next?
Yeah, I think, we'll next time we'll talk will be Wednesday night. So the playoff rankings will have come out. I fully expect Washington to jump Florida State, even if Jordan hadn't got hurt, right? I think the win in Corvallis, I think that's a very impressive win, quite frankly, because Oregon State is very tough at home. But again, now it gets interesting because I do want to watch because I fully expected Washington to jump Florida State this week if they had beat Oregon State, which they did. But now I want to hear what they say about Florida State and the injury because, I think where it gets dicey for Florida State fans, and again, prayers for Jordan, his family, and everything, but we are looking at the big picture of this, all of this, and now is there a conversation a 12-1 Texas or a 12-1 Alabama who just beat Georgia over a 13-0 Florida State with Tate Rodemaker? Do style points matter? Bovada does not have a line out right now. I did see a tweet that said Florida State is now 5.5 point favorite in Gainesville. They opened 11.5 just before the game started on Saturday night. So it gets interesting. And for the life of me, I don't see how you can leave a 13-0 undefeated conference champ out when there's precedent that has been set, right? We saw this with Ohio State in 2014. Mm-hmm. Granted, they rolled Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship, but if Louisville goes on and beats Kentucky, and this is a big if now because it's not a given, but if Florida State does win these next 2 games in Gainesville, then in Charlotte against Louisville, I don't see how you can possibly drop them out of the top 4. but I definitely see this being a conversation. On game day yesterday, Kirk, before Jordan even went down, Kirk was making an argument for one loss, Georgia, Bama, Oregon, all over Florida State undefeated. He said that's a debate, and I thought he was crazy. So, ESPN does have a lot of influence. The committee only has one SEC representative that I'm aware of. But man, it's now things get dicey. But if you're Florida State and Tate, give me a Marcus Outson rooster moment in the swamp this weekend. Take care of business in Charlotte and force them to leave you out if that's what they really want to do, because there will be hell to pay for the committee. You cannot leave out a 13-year-old Florida State team. But I see the arguments already mounting, and they were already mounting before Jordan got hurt. And that's what gives me a little bit of pause right now.
Let's give Michael some love with that super chat. Thank you for everything, JT. $13 over to the Venmo.
Touchdown, Florida State! Touchdown, FSU!
Appreciate you, Michael. Man, I'm so somber. Sorry, I should probably be more excited, but thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm for some reason, like, I'm not that worried about that. Like, I feel like I don't think they'll leave us out. I think that if we go 13-0 and we beat, I mean, I don't usually cheer for other teams because I usually don't care very much. But yeah, if I'm going to cheer for Louisville, obviously, because I want to see us beat a top 10 team. But yeah, if Louisville beats Kentucky this weekend and they're top 10 and we win, even if they lose, I don't really care. They fall to 16 or 17, whatever. That's a rivalry game. I think Florida State's in. The Big Ten loser is going to be out. I don't think that either one of them have done enough. And then it's, if Georgia beats Alabama, they're out. If Alabama beats Georgia, I think that Georgia's out at that point, and if they put in a 12-1 Georgia over a 13-0 Florida State, I think Georgia would be favored against Florida State. I have no problem saying that, but I mean, the wins on the field have to mean something at the end of the day. And so, yeah, I would, I'd be pretty shocked if they left us out at that point. I don't really worry about Texas getting in over us. I think the winner of the Pac-12 does get in. So I think it's the winner of the SEC, the winner of the Big Ten, the winner of the Pac-12, and Florida State if they're 13-0.
So does Michigan get punished at all, or is it just Florida State from that Boston College game? Because that was a bad game that they very well could have lost yesterday. But I don't know. Maryland's not a good football team. They had lost, 4 of their last 5 games heading into that game. Their only win being against Nebraska, 13-10, and Michigan escapes at home in the Big House with a 7-point win. At what point do we start grading everybody on a level field? Because I don't feel like that's happening right now, and I don't feel like that's happened since the start of the playoff rankings.
Yeah, if Michigan doesn't, and now they're 2, right? Was it Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and then Florida State? So I mean, was Ohio State off yesterday? They may have been. I don't know if they played or not, but
they probably played a nobody.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, they're not going to drop Michigan, but I mean, it's just so much like made for TV, like bullcrap that doesn't really matter. Like they could drop Michigan to 3, and what does that matter going into this week? Like
it doesn't. Yeah.
Playing number 2 this week, they obviously have a chance to rebound. I don't. Washington jumped ahead of us in the AP. I don't really care much. I mean, obviously, I'd like to see us stay as high as possible. Like I want to be 1 every week. Yeah. But the games get played, and I don't know. I can't. We looked bad with Jordan in there. Like, well, I'll break down the game and talk a little bit about it here in a second. But like, we looked bad. We came out poor, and if you want to jump, I mean, even if we would have won the thing 63-0 or whatever, like that's fine. I still think like Washington winning a top 10 game.
We were getting jumped regardless.
Yeah.
We talked about that Wednesday night. Like that was expected.
Yeah, there was a good chance that was going to happen. But I think if you win these next 2, I would be pretty surprised if you're not in, if you win these next 2. Certainly be wrong about that. But that's not my concern. My concern is very much more how we look in the playoff than if we get in. Now, you still got to go win. I saw on Circa, and then I also saw on who is Pate's sponsor? What's the FanDuel? I've seen 6.5 and 7. So I have not seen a book anywhere that will give you 5.5, because I would take that all day. So I can only find it at 6.5 and 7. I I know that's only like a 1.5 or 2 different, but still about a touchdown favorite in Gainesville. Yeah. Shout out to Graham Mertz. Unfortunately, went down as well. Kind of freaky that both starting quarterbacks go down
that sucks for
in
him
an
too.
hour and a half. His play was great too. Just a quarterback trying to make a play on a run. That was sucky. That sucks that he went down too. And so he's a Warrior. We made a lot of jokes and we laughed at that, but he had a good year, and you never like.
Did you see like after the where on that replay where he initially broke his collarbone where it happened? He just kept running like that kid. Like you said, Warrior. That is the definition. And like to your point, TJ, I made a lot of jokes about bringing in Graham Mertz. He had a hell of a season, and again, you hate to see any quarterback go down. I don't care what team they play for. Even a quarterback who's just a complete, jackass. The way he acts, that's not Mertz, but there are some out there. If they get hurt for the season, I hate to see that anyway. I don't want to see any of these players get hurt. It just, man, sucks because you only get 4 years of this. Sometimes a little more with red shirts and whatnot, but just, I don't know. It's going to be weird in the swamp. I know you're going up there. I'll probably watch it from the home that's coming the weekend. But man, that's just sucks.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yesterday, so I said this on the video that I did too, Richie. But I'm not asking for any sympathy with this. But we got we're on vacation, obviously different background here, and so I'm in like the basement, like doing the video or whatever, doing our pod or whatever, and man, we're trying to get the kids unloaded, and I'm watching the game. We just gotten here like an hour or two before, and he gets hurt, and I'm telling you, my mood, like the kids are asking to do stuff, and I'm just like, get away from me. I don't know any of you. I don't want to be around any of you. I don't want to talk to anybody. I was in a bad mood the rest of the night. Like I was literally, it was after 7 when it happened, so like that's their bedtime anyway. But they were up a little later, and I just looked over and I said, y'all are all going to bed. Get away from me. So, yeah, it sucked. I know you got to roll. Any closing thoughts, and then I'll kind of take it from here. Or you can stay as long as you want. But
yeah, I do have to run. I thought I'd be home by 2:00 today. That did not happen. I got walked in the door about 5 minutes before we went live here. But yeah, man, Florida State. All the goals are still in front of us, right? So it's going to be tough. It's time. I do think I saw Jaheim Bell. I'm sure other players have tweeted or Instagrammed as well. Finish this for 13 was the hashtag that Jaheim Bell used. And I think Tate is capable of winning these next 2 games. We'll see what happens beyond that. But I certainly think he's capable. When Jordan went down at Louisville last year, I thought for sure, all right, this game's over. There ain't no way we're going to win this game. And Tate proved me wrong and showed out. And I do think this team is going to rally around Jordan for a cause. He's going to be on the sidelines in Gainesville and in Charlotte and anything beyond that. It's going to be interesting. I don't think this team is going to win a national title. But could you imagine if Tate Rodemaker led them to a national title? They handed the trophy and he just hands it to Jordan Travis. Like, talk about a storybook ending. We'll see what happens, but man, I'm really looking forward to Gainesville. I think we do beat Florida. We'll talk about that in depth on Wednesday. And then we're both going up to Charlotte. I cannot wait for that. We're going to have a tailgate, guys. TJ is going to send that live here in the next week or so. Yeah, man, again, prayers to Jordan. But the season's not over. In this team, I think they have a lot left in them. We'll see what other injuries come out in the next week or so that are released. They're a beaten down team right now, but man, if they go into the swamp and beat Florida and have an undefeated regular season, there's no way you can't call this season a success, regardless of what happens in Charlotte and beyond.
Yeah. Richie, I appreciate you. We'll see you back on Wednesday. Have fun tonight, and hopefully you don't have to sit in any traffic on the way there. All right. You've done enough today.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
See you, bud. So, yeah, frustrating. And yeah, like I think at the end of the day, you're upset for Jordan. You're upset for his teammates. You're upset for, you're upset for the staff. You're upset for everybody who invested. I'm not in my normal home setup, as I think you guys can probably tell. So the camera's just like way off. So if I'm not looking at the screen, y'all are just gonna have to bear with me tonight and suck it up a little bit. But, yeah, at the end of the day, like, what are you going to do? I think, You lost your best player, you lost your most important player, but maybe a little bit of a silver lining or two. There's a lot of questions after this game, and they're not all Jordan Travis related. I think a really big one is, what does the health of the offensive line look like going forward? Obviously saw Maurice Smith go down. Heard Renardo Green was in a sling. Kalen DeLoach didn't play in the game. Trey Benson got banged up. Fortunately, you've got a lot of depth at running back, and that certainly helps you. But there are a lot of questions that we need to figure out really, really quickly. Now, I will say this. When people got injured last night, any kind of nick or bump and bruise meant you were going to be out for the rest of the game. There was no reason, and I know they struggled to start, but there was no reason to try and keep anyone in for any longer than they were in already. And so we'll see. We'll see kind of what comes of some of those injuries. If a guy like Mo Smith was banged up for more than just the rest of last night, to me, that's not going to be good for Florida State. That's going to be a really bad thing. Renardo Green is a guy that I don't think you can afford to lose at this point. Florida's offense has not been amazing, and I know they just lost their starting quarterback too, but they have been better. They just scored 35 points in Death Valley just a week or so ago. They put up 31 against Missouri, who had been playing very, very well. And when their backup came in, obviously Tate came in and did a really good job. When their backup came in, they drove straight down 3 straight drives, and they got on an unfortunate bounce on a fumble on a handoff, just because Max Brown didn't have a lot of experience. Otherwise, they just scored 3 straight drives with the backup coming in, and so their offense has found something. Their defense is god awful, and I would expect that we can run the score up, and I would expect that we can still get in the 30s in the swamp. 28 might do it in this game. But I think this really falls back on what our team is able to do defensively. Can the defense rally and say, look, our offense is not as potent? And I like Tate, and we'll talk about Tate in just a minute, but can our defense rally and say, hey, look, our offense is not as potent as it once was. Our offense is probably not as lethal as it once was. We don't have the threat of Jordan's legs just going off for 60 yards at any given point. We're not giving up another score. I know it's North Alabama. I'm not trying to make too big of a deal of this. And so don't shoot me for this comparison. But understanding it was North Alabama, I get it. But the fact that they didn't allow hardly a first down. Now, when the third string was in there, that's different. But they didn't allow another point once Jordan went out. I thought that was impressive. A couple of takeaways that actually gave the team points, and then obviously the block at the end. I thought the effort level took it up a notch, and they almost got more serious when Jordan went out. Now, I would, you'd hope that you wouldn't have to have your starting quarterback get injured for the year for you to get a little bit more serious. But I do think the defense rallies here, and the defense has been good all year. I don't care what anybody thinks about that. And I think that they'll be good in the swamp this weekend. I think Florida will get theirs, but I'd like the defense to step up a lot. Encyclopedia.
Fire up the war chant and plant the spear. Noles win. Noles win.
11-0. We still got our great players, and we are still undefeated. We need to finish the season strong for Jordan Travis. Get well soon, JT13. Go Noles. Thank you, Encyclopedia. $11. I like that. 11-0. 17 wins in a row. Excuse me. Is still impressive. And again, I know it's North Alabama. Scoring whatever we did, was it 58? Scoring 58 consecutive after your starting quarterback goes down is impressive. I don't care at all. I thought Tate was good. I think there are things that Tate needs to do to improve. I don't think Tate's perfect by any means. I think he was expecting to play. Norvell was asked about that. At the end of the day, he went 13 for 23, over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He made the plays that were there on the end of the day. He had 10 incompletions. I'd say 3 or so, maybe 3 or 4. I have not done a rewatch. I don't know if I'll ever do a rewatch. Maybe if I can find just Tate's throws, that'd be great. Because I would like to kind of see what we really had from him. I'd say 3 or 4 of his incompletions were drops. I can remember 2 on one drive. One, I think, by Wilson and one by Morlock, I think, on the same drive, but I could be missing that. So, but both those guys rebounded and played fairly well, and they were there for their guy. Tate took the plays that were there. He made the throws that you have to make. I don't think anyone's expecting Tate to make Jameis 2013 level throws every drive. But when Keon Coleman's wide open at the 5-yard line, you have to hit him, right? You cannot miss that. And there are quarterbacks that can't hit that. There are quarterbacks that the easier the throw is, the more they mess it up. And when Keon was wide open in the end zone, he hit him. When we had a screenplay set up to Toa Philly or whoever, it was hit. He wasn't inaccurate often. Now, he puts an absolute laser on it. He throws that thing like freaking Roger Clemens, but he's accurate with it most of the time. And I think that's good. I think pocket presence is something that you'd like to see step up just a little bit. Florida's defensive line is going to be better than North Alabama's, but you'd hope that your offensive line is a little bit better than it was against North Alabama. You'd hope it's more healthy, more complete, hopefully have Mo Smith back and your full kind of complement there. Not only did you lose your starting quarterback, when Smith went out and others were out, you had to play guys out of position. You had to rotate in ways that I don't think you had prepped for. I expect the offensive line to play better. Florida's D-line hasn't been very good this year. I think they'll be fine against Florida. I don't think they'll be great against Florida. I'm not telling you they're going to be the superstars that, we had in 2013. I think they'll be fine against Florida. I was really encouraged with the way that the team rallied with Tate in. It had to be tough to see. It had to be tough to see your leader go down and then have to keep playing. In fact, Richie even mentioned this. The stadium was more quiet. You could tell on TV that the stadium went pretty silent. And that juice did not come back for a while. It seemed like it came back a good amount once Florida State got rolling. What were we up 10 or so at half? It felt better there. 24-13. And then in the second half, you kind of started to get some of the energy back in it. But, it never really got to the level that you would want. But it was also North Alabama. I don't even know with JT there if it gets to insane levels like the week before, against Miami. So I'll cut Doak a little bit of slack there. But, yeah, you could tell. And you could also tell that the team was a little bit shook. Mike Norvell was shook in the press conference after the game. I thought that, man, he choked up a couple of times. Excuse me. And you could just tell how much JT means to him. A guy that he's been with now for 4 years and a guy that he's watched grow up. And, it was tough. And I think we all kind of feel that to some degree. I'll tell you guys, I wanted to talk to Richie about this because I think he feels the same way. So I don't want to speak for him, but I'll be vulnerable for a second. My favorite thing about what I do is that I don't have to have the hot word now, the cool word that everybody uses, journalistic integrity, or like impartial, like being impartial or unbiased. And I think that's why a lot of you guys like me. I don't know, you guys tell me, but I like that. I like not having. No, I'm a homer. Like I'm on vacation right now wearing an like a Florida State shirt. Like I'm not like an unbiased media member by any means. Like no, I'm a Florida State fan, and if you don't like that, go somewhere else. Go watch. No, I'm going to stay out of trouble today. But I'm not like, oh, let me just cover this. No, I'm hurt. Like, I'm upset. Like, y'all are upset. I'm upset. Like, I'm sad. I was annoyed at my family last night when they were bugging me after the injury. I didn't want to make a video today. I didn't want to do a podcast today. I just wanted to pout. I just want to sit in my room and do nothing. And so, that's what I don't like this situation, but that's what I like about it. I like actually getting to cheer for these kids and actually getting to, I don't like the painful parts. I don't like the crappy parts of sports, but man, that's my favorite thing about what we get to do. And so, well, you got to take the good with the bad when you do that, right? You got to take the hurt. And so I think we're all a little hurt right now. But I said this, the same way that the team rebounded last night, and it took them a minute. Don't get me wrong. It took them a minute. They were shook. They were upset. They were feeling it. They were going through it. The same way that the team was shook but bounced back is the same way that Florida State fans have to. This negativity, this crap of, oh, our season's over. Are we going to beat Georgia with Tate Rodemaker and potentially an offensive lineman and maybe a defensive back out? Probably not. Like, let's just be real. Could we? Absolutely. Like, the game happens. Weird things happen. Sure. But are we going to beat some of these elites in college football with 4 or 5 starters gone? Probably not. Like, let's just be real. But, like, this whole, oh, the season's over and it's all worthless and it's all for nothing. I don't know. How many of you guys were betting your mortgage on Florida State winning the national championship before last night? I mean, I don't know. It was a tall task anyway. But I mean, you still have an opportunity to go out and beat Florida and go 12-0. You want to know how many teams have gone 12-0 here? Not many. You want to know how many teams have gone 13-0 here at Florida State? A couple. You win your next 2 games, and this is one of the most special seasons in Florida State history ever. And so this crap about it's done, get out of here with that. Take that to another channel. Take that to the journalistic integrity channels, because that ain't here. Don't be doing that we're done crap here. Go tweet Jordan Travis that we're done and see what his response is. Actually, I don't think he's been tweeting for the last couple of months. I went to check. But don't be doing that here. That we're done. What is that? This is freaking football, man. It's a game. We're going to go play Florida, who's also down their starting quarterback, and then we're going to go play Louisville. And we're probably, this will get clipped, we'll probably go 2-0. Vegas is telling you right now they're a 7-point favorite in the Swamp. You'd probably be about a 12 or 13-point favorite on a neutral field. Vegas is telling you that with your starting quarterback down, you're still 2 touchdowns better than that team. They get a little bit of a juice. They get a little bit of a plug for it being at home. That's it. You're still 2 touchdowns better. Let me tell you something. You're probably going to be about a 10-point favorite against Louisville too. Would be my guess today. So now you got to go win. Games aren't won because Vegas lines are set. But you're probably going to go 2-0. And then who knows what happens? Are you scared of Michigan after they barely beat Rutgers yesterday? I'm sorry, Maryland. After they barely beat Maryland? Are you scared of Ohio State after they barely beat Rutgers? Georgia looks like the real deal. I get it. They're good. It would take a lot. But okay, yeah. Georgia was going to be a lot one way or the other. But you scared of one of these Big Ten teams? You scared of Washington? I don't know. Let's give a shout out to thank you, JT13. Go ahead.
You a recruit and you ain't going to Florida State. What you doing?
Jordan brought FSU out of the gutter and gave our fans a reason to hope and be proud again. Get well soon, buddy. Go Noles. We're not done. I like the little tomahawk there at the end. Thank you, my man. I appreciate the love. Listen, the thing that I think hurts you the most with Jordan is I think Tate can be really, really effective with what he's doing. And I think Tate will be really good. Again, the pocket awareness, not zinging the ball like Roger Clemens every single time, and having guys catch the actual ball is big. There were a couple of times that, Tate, I don't think Tate expected obviously to play the entire game, but I thought he did fine. I thought Tate was good. I thought he was better. Excuse me. I thought he was better last night than he was against Louisville last season. And I know that nostalgia and just kind of like, you kind of like fake remember stuff. His numbers against Louisville weren't like amazing. He hit a couple of long passes to Johnny and won the game. And I'm not crapping on him at all. He complete credit for the comeback. All he does is lead comebacks and get Florida State wins. I get it. But I thought he was better last night, without a doubt. I thought he was throwing guys up. I thought he was much, much better. He does zing the ball in there. He does zip it in there. I thought he did a really good job. And I think he'll do an even better job with a full week to prepare with the number ones. I think he, I think we go out and win. We're going to preview the game on Wednesday. We've actually got something kind of special for Wednesday night. What we haven't done this year on previews is have like a guest on or like a beat writer on. We're going to change that up this week, and we're doing something a little bit special. We'll talk more about it as the week goes on. I will give listen, today's so weird that like we're not on here asking for. I mean, I appreciate the super chats. I appreciate the low. I'm not asking for super chats, not asking for likes, not asking for subscribes. I don't care about any of that. If you want to like or subscribe, that's great. Don't care. I will get the one quick plug I'll give is that if you are coming out to the Florida game this weekend, and this is what I'll say, if you were planning on going to the Florida game or to Charlotte before JT's injury and you canceled those plans because Jordan got injured. Now, I'm not saying anybody did that. I'm not saying I've seen anybody do that. But if that's you, you're welcome to unsubscribe. You're welcome to go take your talents to another channel. Like that's weird to me. But if you're coming out to either one of those, we will be tailgating. There's a link. Dude, I'm so bad at like just calling people out and saying like, hey, GTFO, and then trying to sell them something. But we will be tailgating out before the game. The link for that is in the description. Come tailgate with us if you're going to Gainesville. Like Richie said, the Charlotte one will be posted later. But yeah, the same way the kids fought back, if you're not fighting back and you're not still cheering for this team and you're not still repping this team just as hard as you were 2 days ago, does it hurt today? Absolutely. This team has won 17 games in a row. That's absurd. In the last 2 seasons, it's up to 21 of our last 24. That's nuts. And I hope that the team has the same support that they did just 2 days ago. There's some weirdos on Twitter that blame this person, blame. Nobody gets blamed for a freak accident. Nobody gets blamed for a freak injury. It sucks. You move on. You keep going. I don't know. As far as the game goes, I thought we ran the ball really well. Again, it's hard to take a lot away when it's North Alabama. Sorry that I'm not looking at the screen again. Different setup. I thought CJ Campbell, that 70-yard run was phenomenal. Sam Singleton, how about him getting in for his first couple of carries yesterday? Carried the ball more than anyone else did, tied with Trey and Rodney at 6 carries. Toa Philly looked good. Holmes looked good. Rodney Hill, I love the way Rodney Hill runs. Obviously, Jordan had the one scramble. Brock Glenn had the touchdown, did the JT celebration. I thought that was impressive. Even Tate getting out there like that. He runs like kind of like a baby giraffe with how tall he is, but maybe it's not even a baby giraffe. Maybe it's the full thing. Receiving wise, I mean, ball spread around a ton, a lot of stuff to the guys out of the backfield. Holmes had a couple. Toa Philly had a couple. Johnny Wilson did what you needed him to do. Keon up to, I believe, the 8th most receiving touchdowns in a single season. He's a couple away from being able to say that he has like a top 5 or top 3, or maybe even could take over that top spot if we can get a few more touchdowns his way. Thomas, glad you found that in the description. Yeah, it's like the first link in there or so. As far as around the rest of, rivals and stuff yesterday, I'm going through a couple quick notes. If we have any really, really good questions, jump in and I'm happy to try and answer them. If you have any thoughts that you want to share on JT, maybe I'll read a few of those. I'm not scrolling up. Sorry to be annoying. I just can't with this setup. So if you have new thoughts, maybe I'll read some comments and then we'll get out of here. Good to see Miami lose. Obviously, those idiots down there, it was awesome to see that team blow it late. Bad coaches find way to lose games. That happened both in the Miami game and the Florida game later. We'll talk about both those in just a minute. The Dr. RJP. Dude, I always want to just say Dr. Pepper when I see that name. It looks like DR. I don't know. Maybe I'm just stupid. The video of J. Trav's injuries on YouTube, I watched it again, and I have trouble believing that it was an accident. Okay, I'll talk about this for a minute. Give him a quick super chat sound, Harlan.
Touchdown, Florida State! Touchdown, FSU!
Okay, so when you watch the actual play and you see the way the tackle is made, I'm not arguing, but I'll play devil's advocate here. I don't think it's dirty as much as I think it's lazy and dangerous. And when I say dirty, I don't think it's malicious. Like, I don't think the idea is now I can't see into the defender's heart or mind and know this for certain. So I will say that. But I don't think his intent was to roll up on Jordan and literally snap his leg in half, right? And I'm also, I believe the best in people. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And so maybe that's what I'm doing there, is giving the kid the benefit of the doubt and saying, like, you can't be as awful of a person as to want to do that intentionally. And if you are, I won't say the things that are coming to my mind right now because I don't want to get in trouble. But it is a dangerous play, and it is incredibly lazy. It's an easy way when you have a quarterback kind of from the side, or anyone running the ball from the side, to kind of like hip check them, roll their leg, and they obviously are going to go down. But if that weight falls the wrong way, or if you fall on that leg because you're now on top of it, it presents a very dangerous situation. So if you could make that tackle and then immediately like jump over the quarterback, you'd probably be fine. But the fact that you're kicking your leg up under theirs, you're probably going to fall on them more times than not. And so, again, I don't think it's malicious. I don't think the kid set out to break a leg. I think that he was lazy and took kind of the easy way to make a tackle, and it is dangerous. It is something that should be outlawed. It is a way you should not be able to make a tackle like that. Just like they've gone away from the horse collar. Horse collar wasn't illegal 15 or so years ago, but they have gone away from that. They should think about instituting that too, because it is dangerous. And it is, you shouldn't try and sweep the leg essentially, and try and tackle that way. So, good to see Miami lose. Just late, poor decision-making late game again from Cristobal, bad timeouts late, leave them with not enough time to really do anything. Just can't get out of his own way, can't find a way to win a game. They'll probably win this weekend to get to 7-5 against BC. If they don't lose that, if they do lose that one, man, that is a rough start, because they'll probably end up losing their bowl game too, and start out under 500 both years. So good to see them lose for sure. Again, it was hard to really celebrate the Florida loss. I found my way to do it just a little bit. But it was good to see Florida lose too. I'd prefer to not see them make a bowl. We can obviously make sure of that this weekend. But again, bad coaching late. I thought Max Brown looked really good. Again, prayers up for Mertz. I won't troll that at all. I think that, kid was a baller this year for sure. I think that, Max Brown looked really good. He had driven the ball down the field for the third straight time, and Billy got super, super conservative and basically said like, "Hey, we're gonna kick this field goal with about a minute to go, and we're gonna trust our defense." Got to coach your kids to not go out of bounds. ETN goes out of bounds, saves Missouri a timeout. That ends up saving them in the end. Again, Napier got conservative, played for the field goal, and they lost by a field goal. And that's what happens, right? Could they have ended up scoring a touchdown? Who knows? But even if you're just more aggressive there, you may end up taking more time off the clock. And if you score a touchdown with 30 or so seconds or less left, you probably end up winning that game. And so, bad coaching there. The 4th and 17 to give that up, that's insane. That's, again, bad coaching by the defensive coordinator, bad coaching by the head coach. They had their linebackers like 4 or 5 yards off the line of scrimmage on a 4th and 17. Huge, huge holes in zone there. I don't know why you wouldn't play your linebackers back and make them throw underneath, but the receiver found a soft spot in the zone, and they lost too. So good to see both of them lose. Again, prayers up to Graham Mertz. That sucks. He should be back next year for the Gators, and I think he'll be a pretty good quarterback for them next year. Can't throw the ball down the field, but he does a lot of things really, really well. So, it's a clip. It should certainly be illegal. So anyway, I thought, quick shout out to North Alabama. I thought they came out and just gave everything they had at the beginning of the game. Ran a lot of trick plays to kind of get Florida State off balance. People were freaking out. I mean, they ran a really good punt fake and got them like 50 yards. I don't know. They had some other good plays. I mean, don't get me wrong, but a couple of reverses and double passes and, whatever. They ran every gadget play they had in the first couple of drives, and it paid off. It got them up a little bit. So shout out to them for coming out and doing everything they could to try and find a way to win. They didn't hold anything back. They didn't save anything. But overall, I mean, a frustrating way to end the home campaign at Doak. Richie was right. I mean, a game that really should have been reserved for celebrating not only the seniors, the guys that had contributed so much, the guys that aren't coming back next year, and the 2013 team. And it almost feels like that kind of got robbed. I don't feel pity for any FSU fans for that reason. Obviously all my pity goes to JT and anybody that might be hurt right now. But it sucks that that's kind of the way it went down. Richie was mentioning like just kind of being able to notice it immediately. And, shout out the crack up job that the CW does showing the replay 86 bajillion times. Again, Alfred's got to get us out of here ASAP. But yeah, it was pretty obvious. That thing was bent the wrong way, and there wasn't a lot that you were going to be able to do this year, or really ever, because of his eligibility status, to get it back. Hey, I tweeted this too, but a lot of people are asking about sending letters, cards, etc. to Jordan Travis. More Athletic Center, or you can just put FSU Athletics. Attention, Jordan Travis, 403 Stadium Drive, Tallahassee, Florida, 32304. Don't just send it to FSU. Send it to the athletics department. 403 Stadium Drive, Tallahassee, Florida, 32304. Make sure it's courtesy of Jordan Travis, or they're not going to know whose mailbox to put that in. Listen, a lot to play for still. At the end of the day, and I very much care about what happens in Charlotte. I don't want you guys to take this wrong, but I'll say this: at the end of the day, if I'd have offered any of you 11-1, not knowing the circumstances, you'd have taken it 100 times out of, I don't know about 100 times out of 100, but if I offered you 11-1 to start this year, most of you guys were taking that. Probably a good 90%. Richie and I both picked 11-1. I know this: if I'd offered you 12-0, 100% of you were taking that, right? And so you got a chance to go out and get to 12-0 and beat both in-state rivals, beat Clemson, win a recruiting championship off the field, not just be off-season champions that celebrate the off-season crap only, and play for an ACC championship, which without your best player and without your starting quarterback, you are going to be favored by probably close to double digits. There is still a lot to play for here. And it sucks, and we're upset, and we're emotional, and I've probably said that 14 times today. And I had a guy at church this morning ask me about it. He said, hey, I'm in the middle of the mountains of North Carolina. He said, hey, I saw your video this morning. What do you think? And I was like, man, there's a lot to play for. And it sucks, and this is not fun, and I didn't want to get on here, and I didn't want to do this. But I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Hopefully this was somewhat cathartic. But Jordan Travis is going to watch and be tuned in and cheer his butt off the next 2 weeks and beyond. And so we ought to be doing the same thing. I don't care if they line Mastromano up at at quarterback. I want to beat the hell out of Florida this weekend. Listen, all of my thoughts, all of my prayers, all of my heart is with Jordan Travis. And it will be for the rest of the week and the rest of the year. But Monday through Saturday of this upcoming week, I'm taking a break, and all I'm thinking about is beating Florida. This is going to be, it sucks, and we're not gonna cry about Jordan Travis all week on this channel. I promise you. That's why we did it on a 1 a.m. rant last night, and why we're doing it on this live right now. But we may mention him, not just gonna forget about the best player that we've had here in a long time, but we are going to focus on beating the hell out of UF this weekend. And that's what the rest of the week is going to be about. We're not going to mope. We're not going to pout. We're not going to be crybabies, is the PR way to say that, about JT. I'm sad. I get it. But we're going to talk about beating the dog crap out of Florida. And I believe that's what we're going to do. It's going to be on the defense to get it done. I still think the offense can be very effective. I've seen Spencer Rattler go up and put points up and down on these boys. I've seen Devin Leary go do it. I still think we can go kick the crap out of them, and that's what we're going to talk about from here on out. We've whined, we've moped, we've complained, we've cried, we've done all that. I'm done with that now, right? Game face, game hat on. You want to take the next 7 hours and 10 minutes until midnight to continue to mope? I'm good with that. Come Monday morning, it's game week. It's beat Florida week. We're done with the moping. We're done with the crying. Tate Rodemaker is going to go out and beat the hell out of Florida. That's my mood. I'm starting a little early. I'm done with the moping now. See, I got to whine for 45 minutes, so I got to get over a little faster than some people. Listen, send JT a card. I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be cool if he had 10,000 cards to have to open up. He's got time. I don't mean this in a joking way, but he's got time, man. Go send him a card. I want his fingers to hurt too. Like from opening up these dumb cards. Maybe you'll have to find somebody to read them for them. We're going to beat the hell out of Florida this week, guys. I don't care if that gets clipped or not if we end up dropping it. But, hey, prayers up for JT. Prayers up for anybody else injured. Graham Mertz, everybody that had a rough night last night. And, man, we'll be back on the channel all week. We'll be back to talk about beating Florida, talk about what we think about the College Football Playoff Committee. I expect to get dropped to 5th, whatever. It is what it is. We'll move on from there. But appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for being locked and plugged in with the channel. Come hang out with us for the Florida tailgate. Yeah, we'll talk about that all week. Maybe we'll do like a $13 off or something for JT, but that'll piss off the people that already bought, so maybe not. Yeah, come tailgate with us this weekend. If you're coming to Gainesville, even if you're going to be in the area or close, just come tailgate anyway. We'll have the TV on with the game there if you're not going in. So talk to you guys soon. Prayers up for JT. We love you. Go Noles.